we're going live on Facebook. How is everybody today? All good, I hope. I wanted to talk to you today about epidurals and just why they can sort of end up contributing to the higher rates of cesarean section. So I'm going to do a much bigger, deeper dive into this topic today with our Motherwise Masterclass, which is part of our tribe. This is our mums who and mums to be who join our Essential Basics program with a little weekly subscription. I'll add the link onto the bottom of this little webinar about it. So we're going to talk in a lot more detail, but today what I wanted to do is just give you a little bit of an overview on that. Because there's many, I'd have to say probably hundreds of times I've had a newly pregnant woman sit down with me and converse that first time, and she is sitting in a thought pattern of going, yep, look, when I get into labor, I'm not interested in that pain, thank you very much, just give me the epidural, and you know, I'm not a natural birth kind of person. Or, you know, maybe it's just that they've got a real fear around that, and which is understandable. So, you know, when you don't know what it's all about. So then at the same time, what we've got is these crazy levels around the world of cesarean sections. So why is the heck is that happening? And basically I'll give you this little sort of inner summary. So when an epidural gets sited onto a woman, what it does is it lowers her blood pressure. And when her blood pressure lowers, a sort of side effect of that is that her contractions tend to stop or seriously peter off. They just become less consistent. Not as strong, not as long, not as frequent. And so that means that the midwives then have to start an oxytocin drip, because oxytocin is the hormone that makes your womb contract, and they will start putting that drip on and turning up the synto, as I say, or turning up the pitocin, until we get that woman back established into strong active labor, which is 3 to 4 contractions every 10 minutes, all over a minute long. The problem is that it's really impossible for us to ever copy Mother Nature as perfectly as it does. So with a natural labor, there is never a situation where the woman's womb is being overstimulated in her natural labor. It's always it's a perfect balance within her body. But when we start putting that oxytocin drip in, well, yeah, you know, so we can turn it up and the contractions are too busy. So we're getting 5 contractions every 10 minutes. That's too much, we'll stress the baby out. Or then what happens is we turn it down. Now we're only getting 2 contractions every 10 minutes. This is going to take forever for that woman to ever dilatate. So this draws out the length of the labor. And then there's other issues that can come around for the fact that that woman is not spending that whole labor leaning forward, which is the natural thing she wants to do, so that the baby's back comes around to the front, and it lines itself up and flexes its head properly, getting lined up and ready for that birth canal. Instead, the woman's lying back in a supine position, and well, that's pretty much physically the worst position you could be in, apart from hanging you upside down by your feet, as far as trying to get a baby to descend. So we have women that will fail to dilatate at a reasonable, because we can't make those contractions work as properly as they would naturally, or we get a woman whose labor just goes on a long time, and that could cause fetal distress. Or we get a woman who maybe does get to fully dilated, hallelujah, and then starts pushing, but because of the remnants of the epidural on board, she can't push it that same way. At the same time, the baby hasn't descended so far, it's not flexed as well as it should do with its chin down, or it's malpositioned and it's sort of lying on the lateral side instead of lying face down. And so all these things sort of compound themselves, and hey presto, we've got cesarean sections for failure to progress. Could be failure to dilatate or failure to descend if that baby obstructed labours, fetal distress because the labour's gone on so much longer, etc. So this is why that's in a real tiny little nutshell, but that is why those cesarean rates are so much higher. In fact, what we know from research, retrospectively, of thousands of births, a study was done a little while ago, not far from me actually, and of over 4,000 births of normal, healthy women going into spontaneous labour at term with normal, healthy babies. So women that had absolutely no complications to their pregnancy, and those that did opt for a primary care centre to have a natural labour, or those that opted to a major tertiary hospital where they had access to an epidural. And in actual fact, the mothers were 4 times less likely to have an emergency C-section if they were not located in a place which had access to an epidural. So there we go. That's how it works, unfortunately. But it's just what it is. Now, so that, here we go. So that is in a little nutshell what happens. But as I say, we're going to deep dive into this because there's a lot more to it. And there's things that we can do that can prevent that. So women that have to have an epidural, maybe they have got preeclamptic toxemia, so they are being advised that it's a good idea to have a pain relief that will lower their blood pressure. That can be a valid reason for needing an epidural. But so we're going to talk more about that in the masterclass. But hopefully this is of interest and of use. And I wish you all a best rest of your week. And we'll see you same time, same place. Bye, everybody.